Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Performance E Streaming. It is Thursday night, and that means only one thing. It is time for the ANZCAR Cup, and we are in playoff season, ladies and gentlemen. It is round number 3, the round where it counts, because this is going to be where we see some dropouts for the 2023 Chase Champion, 2023 Playoff Championship, I should say. There we go. I'll eventually get the right thing. I keep calling it the wrong thing constantly, but that is me. Round 29 of the season of 36 here tonight at Bristol Motor Speedway in its natural habitat, back with paving down, with the dirt cleaned off and ready to race here tonight. I'm as ever Mr. Carl Wilkinson with you, joined up here in the booth by Mr. Matt Hunter. How you going, Matt?
Yeah, going good. Yep. How it should be, Bristol, with the sealed pavement.
Absolutely. We're not opposed to dirt, but Bristol should be paved. It's a beautiful track. We love it. And also Mr. Mark Johansson. Mark, how you going, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. I'll let you get through this grid, and I'll just sit here in the background for a minute while I still sort out a few problems.
No problemos. Let's go through the starting grid and its playoff contender. Dave Douglas taking pole position ahead of his rival at the moment, Neil Pearson. Neil Pearson through on a win, of course. Ryan Jones makes up row 2 with Ruben Phelps on the inside. Stevie Dove on row 3 with Lachlan Urquio. On row 4 is Daniel Hedderscheid and Maddie Ray. Row number 5 sees Norman Clark and Joshua Carroll-Walden lining up next to each other. It's Luke Crum with Christopher Ireland on row number 6. Row 7 sees Riley Curtis with Shane Bowen. Row number 8 has Andrew Dyson with Jai Schultz. Row number 9 sees Brenton Henderson and Alexander Sheridan lining up next to each other. Christopher Tomlin, Gary Wellman make up our 10th row, and Kobe Jordan with Noddy Tompkins make up row number 11. Couple of playoff contenders way down the field tonight. That could be crucial. Just looking at the playoffs, and it's do or die tonight for Joshua Carroll-Walden and Daniel Hedderscheid. They've really got to take a victory tonight to secure their chances of making it through. So it's going to be very, very critical to get things right for those drivers. Dave Douglas is going to start off well tonight, a track that he loves, Bristol. And this could be a really good opportunity for him in the playoffs. Remember, Neil Pearson has a victory under his belt, so that's guaranteed him through to the next set of stages. So he has a little bit less to worry about after a very busy week for the newlywed. And I'm sure he's going to be going to want to try and get a second victory under the belt as well, just to rub it into everybody. Just quickly, race is going to be starting very short, 200 laps here tonight. They will go thick and fast. The pace car will be pulling in any moment, and we'll be listening to the roar of these cars roar around the last great Coliseum of Bristol Motor Speedway. I'm going to shut up. Let's enjoy these cars roar away for tonight's race. Under our belt, Neil Pearson's managed to run up into the lead here, getting out front with Ruben Phelps sprinting away quickly. Dave Douglas dropping down a third, could be dropping down a fourth as Ryan Jones is looking to make a move quickly. They've got caught on that low line. It really held him up and lost him a couple of spots, so lost him a little bit of momentum. This track, you can't really run like a traditional oval, that really low line, because it is such a tight corner. It can just cut your momentum off. You almost have to diamond it around this track to get it working perfectly, and you'll see the high to midline being the favoured one tonight. You can run the low for a couple of laps, but it does burn the tyres up quickly. So Neil Pearson up in the lead with Ruben Phelps, Ryan Jones, Dave Douglas, Stevie Dove, Daniel Hedderscheid, Lachlan Urquio, Joshua Carroll-Walden and Maddie Ray with Christopher Ireland. That's our top 10 at the moment. Some people making their way through the field relatively quickly.
Yeah, it's well done by Daniel Hedderscheid and JCW, mate, to get up there in that top 10. They need to get there, but one of those two must win tonight to secure their spot in the next step of the playoffs.
Yeah, they are really in an unenviable position at the moment, and it's not been the ideal start for either of them, both getting done with penalties as well, so missing a race. And that is crucial to not have that happen in the playoffs sometimes, and that's exactly what happened. And not the easiest thing to do. As Matty Ray's going contact, we've got Christopher Island, Andrew Dyson heavily caught up in that one as well. Playoff cars caught in that one. What was happening back there? It looks like Christopher Island's got a big tank slapper on down the front straight. Gone up into Matty Ray. Matty Ray has just gotten away relatively unscathed. Luke Crum heavily involved with Shane Bowen. And then we'll see the aftermath of that one, because teammate of Ireland, Andrew Dyson, gets heavy impact and gets a lot of damage on that right front. He's going to be in pit lane for a long time getting that thing repaired. The right front has been ripped off of that car completely. We'll see it now at the replay there. Matty Ray just gets away relatively unscathed. And then you see the two cars up on the wall, and then Luke Crum spears into Dyson, unable to do anything. Luke Crum, he was caught in that incident. And Riley Curtis just somehow sneaking it through. Riley Curtis in the Are You OK Day livery, he is okay by the looks of things, somehow in that car. He got away very, very much unscathed in that one, but quite a few other drivers very much not so.
Andrew Dyson's front wheel is his right front wheel is not looking healthy. It wasn't moving at all. I think he's going to be in for a bit of a long pit stop there.
Yeah, looks like the whole front suspension's being torn completely off. The wheel is sitting at a very jaunty angle at the moment, facing in, well, very much the wrong position, as he finally gets into his pit bay and overshoots it, understandably, as the brakes do not work when you've got three wheels. And that's going to be a long, lengthy repair there. And this has been a terrible start so far to the playoffs for Dyson. It's not been an easy first couple of races. He's had two major incidents in 3 races.
Yeah, I'll just tell you one thing, boys. Can we get this booth lowered down? There's too many steps up and down the run. I've just been down to the SRM garage and spoke to Matty Ray. He has been very, very lucky and got away with 0 damage on that car.
Yeah, he has got extremely lucky, you've got to say, because that car was it could have been a much, much worse situation for him. And well, as we say, an incident like that in the playoffs is not what you need to have happen, because that is the worst time for things to happen. We've had people come down pit lane though. So we've had people come in for a quick top up of fuel, maybe do a couple of quick tweaks here and there. Ruben Phelps, Daniel Hederscheid, Matty Ray, the first of those cars. Jai Schultz, Joshua Carroll-Walden and Neil Pearson all stayed out. So pace car peels in and we're about to go back to racing here. Neil Pearson launches away in the restart zone, gets a nice restart on the low line. Absolutely bolting away from Joshua Carroll-Walden and Jai Schultz there, leaving them napping a little bit as the racing gets thick and furious behind, too wide here at Bristol. Not an easy thing to do sometimes, but they are racing very hard at the moment, as we see. Ruben Phelps, Daniel Hederscheid all trying to get up there very quickly. Matty Ray really trying his luck as well, getting right down on the inside of Dave Douglas at the moment, pushing forwards nicely.
Yeah, everyone's settling down again. We spoke about tyres briefly earlier, Carl, I heard you. Here, if you run that low line, you're going to burn that right front off, and it'll get to a point, and then it'll just drop. And you may see anyone pushing really hard lose that right front. The guys that I've been talking to through the week, through the testing they've done, they said that the tyres will wear off or burn up quicker than they'll get the 130 laps on a tank of fuel.
Yeah, absolutely. That low line can really, really eat the tyres quickly, and it's the perils of Bristol. Is the overtaking here? Is you've got to just time it right and get it done quickly. As that in the background, Christopher Tomlin just having a big moment there, just managing to save the car, but again getting a little bit snappy very, very quickly. And those rear tyres. It's one of those drivers that has been down pit lane, I think, Christopher Tomlin. No, he stayed out, sorry. So I wonder if he is just struggling to get those tyres back up to operational temperature, or just got a little bit too much heat too quickly into them, because he's struggling a little bit at the moment. But a man that's not struggling is Joshua Carroll-Walden, who's putting the pressure on Neil Pearson right now, absolutely putting the screws to the DPR driver and forcing him to run some different lines so JCW doesn't get an opportunity to pass him. Neil Pearson's going all defensive driving right now to keep the Natari car right behind him here.
Yeah, in the last few laps also, Carl, we've seen Ruben Phelps, both Ryan Jones and now Daniel Heddershield get past Jai Schultz in the 27 machine. So I think Jai may be just trying to save those tyres a little bit and make sure he's in the next stage of playoff.
Yeah, it's just got to be a damage limitation for some of these drivers. They're just thinking about the points because they can't afford a non-finish. If you have a non-finish, that could really hurt you tonight. So the more points you can get, the better it's going to be, especially with one of your contenders already out early doors. And I have noticed that Dyson has taken that car behind the wall. So we've lost Crum, Ireland and Dyson from this race. 19 cars remaining here at Bristol.
Yeah, this place is a strange place, as you said, the last of the Colosseums, but the turns are two different types. One's a tight radius and one's a fraction more open of a turn, where you can just let that car just sit in that middle track up to the high and get a nice run. 3 and 4, you really need to come down on that low line and push just that little bit hard. As we can see here, Jones getting past Phelps.
I think one of the hardest things about racing around Bristol is it's such a short lap. You barely have time to register which part of the track you're on. It's one of those tracks you could easily get lost on, despite it only having 4 corners, despite it being only 0.8 of a kilometre in length. You get lost here because you forget which end you're at sometimes. You'll be flying along thinking you're on the back straight and then notice there's a start-finish line in front of you. Just trying to remember which corner's which, because they are the slightly different radius corners. If you can get that absolutely nailed lap after lap after lap, it really helps you. But when you're driving, sometimes you just get into this rhythm, into this hypnotized state where you just forget which corner you're at, forget which radius corner it is. You sort of got to go, oh, I'll just take it slightly more normal around here rather than push it.
Yeah, and we just see here, Tomlin for the last 3 laps has hit the fence both in the front straight and the back straight coming out of the turns. He's got down off that high line now back on the mid track. So he's going to have some damage, and I don't think there's going to be any Goodyear print on the right side of those tyres.
He's been absolutely getting the wall, but it's a place where you can have those little glances here at Bristol. It's not as dramatic as some others, but then you have a bigger moment. We saw one of the Cobalt cars there doing exactly that, taking a big glance into the wall, Alexander Sheridan, and that one is a lot heavier, and you've got to be careful of those heavy impacts because that's when it will flip the car down and end up causing a big accident. So the light little contacts that Christopher Tomlin's had are not as bad as those heavy ones that we've just seen there for the Cobalt Racing entry of Bowen. Meanwhile, a little bit further up the field, Dave Douglas is getting racy with Daniel Hedderscheid now. That the tyres are starting to fall off for those drivers that pushed a little bit harder in that stint. So the drivers that really were going absolutely hammer and tong in the early stages are now starting to feel it a little bit as the temperature starts to rise a tiny bit. And they start to just lose a little bit of time to those drivers that took it a little bit softer in the stage, just getting those tyres up to temperature a little bit slower.
Yeah, it's all about just rhythm here. You've got to get into that rhythm and just keep churning out laps. And that's what the guys will be hoping for, a nice long green stint, and around what were we? Probably around 160. They'll be looking for a caution, so they can come down the pit lane and get their tyres and service under a caution. And we're using the single lane pit lane tonight, so that is a very, very long pit lane.
Yeah, you do not want to be taking it under green if you can avoid it. The pit lane here is just so very long. It's the length of the whole track pretty much. You come in off of turns 1 and 2, and you sort of you exit out of 1 and 2. So it is a full lap that you do under the speed limit of the pit lane, and it is such a painful pit lane to get through in green flag conditions. You're going to lose at least 2, maybe 3 laps because it is such a short lap here.
Yeah, it's definitely. I've actually seen guys make a boo-boo and end up 4 laps down under the green flag service, and it's so hard to come back from that if the other guys get lucky and get a caution and can get down pit lane under caution.
Very much so, and it's getting to that stage now where the cars are starting to close in on each other as well. We're starting to get some lapped cars coming into the mix, and that's where it gets really, really tricky around this track, because you're constantly racing people, you're constantly passing them lap after lap after lap. You're trying to pass a different car. You're racing, you're racing not just 20 odd cars. You're almost racing 40 cars because you're constantly next to somebody else. It feels like there's always a car next to you on track, no matter where you are, and you can always feel that you're sort of always in a position where you've got to either just let a car through or just try and race that car for position, even though they're a lap or 2 down. If they start racing with each other, you can find the leaders get really caught up as well.
Yeah, and as you said, it doesn't take long really to catch up to the guys that are a little bit slower.
And that all gets amplified as well once they start coming in for tyres. Once you've got fresh tyres, once you've got old tyres on track, that really changes things up. Dave Douglas and Ruben Phelps here racing for position. 2 drivers in for contention in the playoffs, and they are racing each other hard. Dave Douglas, he took it easy in the early stages, but now it's coming back to life for Double D.
This place is one of Double D's favourite tracks, so he's definitely on the move now, up in the 4th place. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him standing on the podium step somewhere tonight.
Very much so. It's one of his specialties here, and very close there. Ryan Jones racing with Joshua Carroll Walden right now. This is for 2nd place, a 3-way battle now between Douglas, Carroll Walden, and Jones. All of 2 drivers in the playoffs. Ryan Jones out there trying to get some wins for his late part of the season, as he's just joined with DPR. Not in the playoffs, but he would be delighted to nibble away and just get some victories under his belt in this Cup car.
Well, if we get a non-Cup car, non-playoff car win, that kind of sort of settles it out a little bit. But it still doesn't change the fact that JCW Daniel Hendershide needs to win this race to secure their spot.
Absolutely. Well, we had Barry Neal, of course, taking out the first round in the playoffs, and not unfamiliar moment for Barry. He's done that a couple of times. He's very good at just coming in and taking those wins. He is a very quick driver. Just love to see him in a full season as well. But he took that win in the first round. Of course, Neil Pearson took the 2nd win in the playoffs. And if a non-playoff driver wins here tonight, that could really just make people feel a bit more nervous for the coming weeks. But as you said, Daniel Hendershide, Joshua Carroll Walden, they really need to get this win. They're sort of in do or die situation, because if they don't get that win, they're going to be really, really in trouble and probably not making it through to the next stage of the playoffs next week.
Yeah, look, we'd love to bring you a live update of points post race, but we'd only be speculating because you have to get the guys to go back and the race review, and could be penalties added, could be bonus points taken away. We just don't know. So if you want to keep up to date, make sure you go to the website or the Facebook page, and you can catch all the latest news there.
Absolutely. A very good place for all the latest news and results, and fantastic write-ups of races as well if you haven't managed to catch them. Norman Clark, at the moment, he's running down in 15th position. Expect to see him working his way up the field a little bit now that he is getting into this stage of the race where tyres start to fall off. He tends to look after the tyres, but he is also the first car a lap down, so he would very much like to like to see a caution roundabout now, get himself on that lead lap again. But he is just chugging along at Norman paces and just getting along in the race and just keeping himself secure and just out of trouble. And that could be a crucial thing in these playoffs to get him a little bit further up in that in those standings.
Yeah, I was just going to say to say, and Matt's read my mind. We've come to the live pitches. Jai Schultz is having a great battle here with the guys around him. Jai's dropped down to 14th position, but he's definitely still on the lead lap and just biding his time, I would say.
Yeah, some good battles going on the track at the moment. Brenton Henderson, Gary Wellman really fighting it out hard. They've got Shane Bowen for company there as well. Really, really close battle as Neil Pearson's coming up on them to lap them as well. So this is what I was talking about. You start getting races on races on races on this track. And you've got almost 3 different races going on at the same time. And look at Jai Schultz, just sort of going, yeah, the leader's going through underneath. I'm just going to follow the leader through. Thank you very much. And start making up a couple of positions, just using the leader as the opportunity to do that. A little bit further up the field, we've got Stevie Dub, Lachlan Oakvio having a great battle with Matty Ray and Joshua Carroll Walden. So all 4 of these cars battling at the moment. 3 of them in the playoffs as it stands. Stevie Dub, the outlier there in the green DPR car. JCW working hard to keep himself up there, but just losing out time now. Remember, he stayed out on those tyres, so they're a little bit older. He didn't do any tweaks to the car, so that could be just affecting him a little bit. Neil Pearson, another one of those drivers that stayed out and didn't change a thing.
Sorry, Carl, we're 3 wide back further with Norman Clark, one of the Cobalt cars, and Gary Wellman. But the big news is that the orange car, the orange 41 car of Andrew Dyson, is back out in the field.
They have resurrected that car with some kind of dark magic, I'm sure, and got Dyson back out on track. And he will be reliant.
Oh, sorry. Dave Double D's just dived under Norman. That put Norman up in the Dyson, and seen Dyson and Clark both into the wall there, but no caution.
Crucially, no caution, and that was a huge... Oh, caution is out now, though. We've got a caution flag now. What is that one for? As we were looking back at that incident.
Dyson's copped it again. That right front is torn back, and he has taken it behind the wall yet again.
And the caution's out with Andrew Dyson. The front end has broken on that thing, and it's spun him around, unfortunately. And that has brought the yellow flag out. So, big moment. What I was going to say there with that incident is big netcode there on Norman Clark. That just absolutely was a case of netcode there, you got to say, because they were nowhere near each other. Let's watch that again from this angle. And look how there's plenty of gap there. And unfortunately, netcode strikes there. And that's one of those situations where nobody is to blame.
Yeah, I've just heard Dave come on the radio, on the race radio. He's apologised. He thought he was actually blinking, but we can see there on screen that he definitely didn't disappear into the Neverland. So unfortunate, something's technical with out of everyone's control, and as you said, Carl, a big netcode because there is clearly no touch there.
Yep. The server hamster needs to be fed more, I think. That is a definite case of server hamsters not being well at the moment. And look, that's the perils of online racing sometimes, is you do have these little moments that cause little situations like that. And big result on track.
Yeah, now I'm going to say, lap 71 of 200, most of these guys should be able to make it home on fuel. But I don't think they're going to be able to do it on the tyres. So I'd say we'll see probably 1 or 2 guys back down the lane for a set of tyres later on in this race.
Yeah, it's going to be touch and go. We had the Xfinity cars out here last night, and that was a 150 lap race, and I did make it to about lap 120 before coming into the lane on some tyres, but they were pretty much shot on that car. Of course, the Cup car a little bit different in how it uses up its tyres, and it will be a touch and go thing. I reckon if you absolutely save, if you are very, very light on the wheel, and if you've set the car up, of course, if you've done those tyre pressures just to the right amount, if you've just got it tweaked nicely, you could just make it home here. But you've got to be careful on those tyres, because all it takes is a little bit too much pushing, and that right front tyre is going to go poppity pop.
Yeah, and then we'll see some more right fronts ripped off the cars, I'd say.
Yes, it's been a terrible night for, well, regular season champion Andrew Dyson. He has not had the start to his playoffs that he will have wanted, but it's all going swimmingly for the newlywed, Mr. Neil Pearson, and congratulations again to Neil Pearson and his lovely new wife. Very well done for both of them. Congratulations, and wish them all the best. So Ryan Jones, Neil Pearson up the front, going to be leading away. Dave Douglas and Ruben Phelps again. Neil Pearson absolutely takes that restart to perfection. He has been on those restarts tonight. Ryan Jones now and Dave Douglas, Ruben Phelps battling it out behind them. Dave Douglas is looking like he's just going to go a little bit cautious in the early stages here again, and then start pushing a little bit later on. Or is he, as he goes down the inside of Ruben Phelps as they get a run? And Dave Douglas, he was going, yeah, look, I'm not going to be pushing too hard. I'm not going to be pushing too hard. And then all of a sudden pounces when Ruben least expects it. Ruben's done a great job of defending there, keeping him behind him. Daniel Hederscheid on the move as well, coming up fast and furious. And of course, these drivers will have tweaked the setup a little bit. Of course, in the ANZCAR Cup this season, it is a fixed open setup, which means that they can change the setup in the pit stops. They can't do it prior.
And a lot of these guys would have been down and done those changes now. So let's hope they've taken it in the right way. As we see, Daniel Hederscheid get a little bit loose there. But he's been able to make that pass on Dave Douglas.
Oh, we've got an incident happening in the background as we remain green for the time being. And we do remain green. Bit of a moment for, I think... couple of the inside lane boys, as Tomlin and Kobe Jordan get in contact with each other and get up and make contact with one of the Cobalt cars, and Brenton Henderson, Kobe Jordan, basically sliding all the way down the front straight. The back end stepped out on him. He's tried to save it, and then it snapped on him up into teammate Christopher Tomlin there. Really, really unfortunate, and that is heavy impact for those three cars. Brenton Henderson just squeaked through. It looks like he got away relatively unscathed, but Tomlin and Jordan will both need to come down the lane. I'm sure Shane Bowen will probably be in some damage repair mode as well.
That right front of Tomlin's definitely didn't look like right on that shot that Matt brought us while he's sitting in pit lane. It's definitely laying back a little bit.
Yeah, that right front is absolutely ripped off. That's a big shame, as they were having a good run up to that point. But it just shows how quickly Bristol will bite you. All it takes is just that little moment, and it's so hard to save these cars. These Cup cars are not the easiest things to save with that rear diffuser, with that sort of way it has the downforce in it. Once it loses that downforce, all of a sudden it gets so sketchy, and it is nearly impossible to save. You can't. You just have to be very lucky to save it sometimes, not just good.
Yes, most definitely. But we see up front, Pearson and Jones now got a nice little gap back to Ruben Phelps. A second gap between them. Then your Hederscheid sitting there in fourth, a further half second off Ruben, and Stevie Dubbs done well to get himself up into the top five. Dave Douglas and Josh Carroll-Warden in 6th and 7th, then Lachlan Erclio in 8th. Riley Curtis, who's having a good run tonight. Carl up in the 9th, and then rounding out the top 10 is the is the third SRM car of Matty Ray, with his teammate Brendan Henderson sitting in 11th.
Yes, some good runs going on so far here. 88 laps down, 112 remaining, so still a long way to go in this race. And a lot can happen. We've got 11 cars on the lead lap at the moment. Gary Wellman's in that lucky dog position. As just saw a little bit of smoke pop up as Riley Curtis just gave the wall a little bit of a rub. But he's gotten away with it fairly unscathed. Gary Wellman, he is sitting in that lucky dog position at the moment, so he is really, really pushing hard to try and keep himself in that spot so he can get that lap back if a caution flag comes out. It's been a tough race so far. We've seen quite a bit of attrition here tonight, and quite a few situations that were just unlucky positions to be in. It's not really been, there's not been many sort of really obvious moments tonight. There's just been a couple of very, very innocuous moments that have brought a lot of repercussion.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just trying to get hold of Dyson to see if he can come in and have a quick chat, but he probably not in the best of moods tonight, so we might just let that one go.
Yeah, understandable. It's been a rather rough run out there tonight. Riley Curtis making a move on Lachlan Oakria. Lachlan Oakria making a move on Riley Curtis. Those two batting it out at the moment, fighting very hard with each other and giving us some good entertainment on track. There's plenty of good racing here, and we've still got 106 laps remaining. There's still over half a race to go here, ladies and gentlemen, so plenty still to come.
I just heard it. Oh, Lachlan Oakleigh, one of the Cobalt cars, I think it was, down the main straight into each other, and we're under caution again. I just seen it at the last minute. Sorry, guys.
Shane Bowen and Lachlan Oakleigh are making contact with each other, and Shane Bowen has just run up, unfortunately, on Lachlan Oakleigh, and that has brought the caution flag out, and well, a pivotal time for everybody, because this is going to make it fair bit easier to get home on some fresh tyres. Oakleigh looks like he's gotten away relatively unscathed. Bowen may have a bit more damage. I'd say that he will need to get a little bit more repair done, because that was quite a heavy hit. Oakleigh has got away relatively unscathed from that one. This is probably not what Pearson and Jones wanted, as they had a healthy gap up to the third place car. So this is going to really shake things up. They've only done about 27 laps on these tyres as well, so I wonder if we'll see anybody risking it and sticking it out for a bit of a run, see if they can actually do something here tonight, or if we will see everybody coming in, and it looks like everybody is indeed coming in.
Just watching the front two. Geez, that is a slow pit lane and long.
Oh, it is. It is indeed. It's not as bad in a caution. It's much worse in a green flag situation, I must say. But it is a lot of concentration, because, of course, you've got to keep it at about 56 kilometers per hour in the pit lane, and there's no limiter for that. So it's all done with your right foot. You've got to just keep the throttle in exactly the right spot to get it done. Wonder if anybody's going to risk it and just take 2 here and see what they can do in that one, or if they're all going to take 4. Looks like 4 is the order for the day, as they all start trickling out of pit lane with some fresh boots on the car and a little tiny splash of fuel, I'm sure, for a couple of people, but it is all done and dusted now, and they're all underway once more. We see the lapped cars coming in, as well as Gary Wellman as well. He's just got his lap back. So some good news for Gary Wellman. He was in that lucky dog position. So he'll be able to get that lap back and get himself in a good spot. Norman Clark, he has stayed out. So he's got himself, so he can get his lap back as well. He's going to stay out on those slightly worn tyres. and just get a wave around here. So that will get him back on the lead lap, which is a really critical place to be because, cautions can breed cautions. If we get another caution or two, could really get him into play in this race.
Again, by the sounds of the radio, iRacing's having a little bit of a hiccup and wanting guys in front of other guys, and yeah.
The joy of shuffling cars. It's always the trickier part in a race, but hopefully everybody will get it in the right position. Lachlan Urquio, he is one of those drivers I think that may have just taken 2 tyres because he's shot through pit lane at a vast rate of knots. He's up there in 2nd place at the moment as they get back to green flag racing. Pearson again gets a nice restart. Jones is battling it out at the moment with Urquio and Ruben Phelps, and there's plenty of action behind as Neil Pearson scampers away into the lead once more here at Bristol, as behind all sorts of action going on.
Too wide and starting to push a little bit again, wanting to get that position.
And you can see the fresh tyres are looking a much better bet, unfortunately. Lachlan Urquio's gamble doesn't look like it's paying off as he's dropping down the field at a vast rate of knots at the moment.
So long as Lockie stays out there and gets points, he should be safe through to the next stage of the playoff. So I don't think he'd be too worried at the moment.
All in damage control. That's the main thing, is just getting those points under your belt. That's going to be the crucial thing here tonight. And the more points the better, but it's at least you're going to get some points on the ticket. So that's going to be the main thing I think that you've got to think about in a situation like this, whereas other drivers have got to go for the victory. And we were just looking at one of them then, Daniel Hedershide. Ruben Phelps gets a huge amount of oversteer coming out the corner. The back end lights up on him, tail goes wagging, and he manages to just about save that. A flying Kiwi almost had a huge moment there, but he keeps it going for another lap. We were talking about this last night. That low line is really tricky at the moment, and I saw Jason Martin mentioning it in our Discord as well, how he was struggling last night with the car trying to get down the low line, and it just kept wanting to spin on him, and it made it really, really tricky. And I wonder if they're finding that a little bit in the Cup car tonight, Mark.
Quite possible. I was talking to I won't say the team, but in one of their practices, and they said, if you run that low line for a long time, you will find that right front especially going off, and then as soon as that starts to go off, they'll find the right rear to go off, and that's what seems to be happening around that lap 12.
Yeah, of course, it's a concrete surface here as well, which changes things up a little bit and makes it a very different track to race on as well, Mark.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot coarser, the cement, because it's got grooves across the track. So you're always working against the grain with these tyres. And yeah, it's one of the very few. I think there's only 2 others, and one of the others is Dover, and I think Nashville's concrete by memory.
It is indeed, and I'm trying to think of one other, but no, Dover. Yeah,
Dover and Nashville. I think the only 2
are on the calendar, and it really does change things up. It's a very different surface to race on. And it just takes things up. Up the front, we've got some racing going on as Neil Pearson's going up against his new, young, hungry teammate, Ryan Jones, trying to put the moves on the wily dog there. Neil Pearson doesn't quite make it work as he tries to go on the inside, and behind Daniel Hedershide tried to do a similar move, and it cost him a couple of positions.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you can see there on that move where Jones was down on that low line, tried to drive it in, and the car just wanted to push up track. And luckily he wasn't alongside. When you see again there where he's trying to turn it in and doesn't want to turn, it wants to stay on that high line.
Yeah, that low line is just not working at all, even just for a brief mini moment. It is really, really not wanting to play game tonight.
Yeah, really. Unfortunately, there's some great racing here, but it needs the guys to get down on that low line and lay a little bit of rubber down. We can see most of the racing tonight has been done mid to high track, so there'll be very little rubber on that low line. So won't be tyres won't be gripping as good as we see Pearson now coming up to put Kobe Jordan a lap down. Oh, touch!
Contact! And they just get away with that. Costs some momentum, but they have gotten away with it.
Very, very lucky. Glad Kobe kept his foot into it because that straightened Pearson back up.
Yeah, that could have been a really, really big moment there, and I'm sure it would have gotten everybody awake very quickly as well.
Just see there where Pearson started to come around across the nose, but Kobe kept his foot into it, and thankfully it straightened Pearson back up, and so a bit of door slamming.
Bit of door slamming is always welcome in stock car racing. Look, it's not a stock car race if you don't swap a little bit of paint on the doors. It doesn't feel right, and as long as you get away with it, it's all fine.
Well, there ain't nothing stock about a stock car. I think I've seen that movie once too many times. But we're almost 3/4 of the way through this race, and some entertainment, some retirements, and I think Mr. Dyson may be back out there on track for the third time tonight. He is
back out on track, about 100 laps down, unfortunately. So unless even if we have the most bizarre race where we get a caution period every lap, he will not get back on the lead lap. He will not win this race, but he can still claim himself a couple of extra points and possibly a couple of extra bonus points as well if somebody else has a bad night. So it's all about getting to the finish just to get those points under his belt. So that's the main thing. And of course, he can also relay a little bit of information to teammates and sort of go, yeah, I'm doing this. That's very fast at the moment. Have you tried this, this, and this? All about team play for DPR, and they'll be working with each other, trying to figure out the best way to get around for this track. Teammates do often help in these situations. And well, we have seen it this season with, I think, only one sort of privateer taking a victory so far in the cup racing, and that being Barry Neal. Everybody else has been in a team of at least 2 to 3 cars, and it just shows that just a little bit of extra help you can get on the racetrack with these little tweaks that you can do does make a big difference.
Yes, it certainly does. And unfortunate, some guys decided not to come back, and that's understandable too. It's they don't want to be getting the road of the playoff guys, but nevertheless, we do have some great racing, and we can see a great battle at the moment between Phelps and Douglas.
And of course, well, got quite a few playoff drivers in picture there as well, but it is really, really battles on at the moment as we see Phelps and Douglas really, really going hard with each other. And Dave Douglas wants to get, you'd love to get a victory under his belt this season because he got through to the playoffs without a win. Of course, he did it all with points. Yeah, it's just been really, it's really tricky this year. And he's one of those drivers that is a solo flyer as well. And you sort of have noticed it just been a bit trickier for Dave this season. But He is trying all he can at the moment, putting all the pressure on the SRM driver, the Mobile Brake Mechanical SRM team of Ruben Phelps there, really, really trying to get through. This is for third position at the moment. And Dave's got quite a bit of pace in the car now as we get to 60 laps to go. Has he been saving a little bit? Has he saved enough to get him up towards the front for the final run to the flag?
Sorry, Carlo, I'm just trying to work out some points here. So I think if my arithmetic is wrong, Carol Warden and Clark would be the two that would miss out from tonight. But as I said earlier, don't take it as gospel, because anything can happen, and that is just doing things on the fly at the moment.
I think Carol Warden and Hedishar is both still in trouble, points-wise. I think they're both in must-win situations. I think Clark's got a 24-point buffer to Hedishar, so
yeah. So if it ends now the way it is, Hedishar and Carol Warden would be out.
They have to win to progress.
It's a must-win situation for them tonight, and it's just, so far, it's not going in that direction, although they're starting to work their way up the field now. The two Natari cars coming up towards the front of JCW, Josh Carroll and Daniel Hedderscheid. They're clutching up to Ruben Phelps now, who, losing that position to Dave Douglas, has now started losing a little bit of pace as well. So he's starting to drop down a bit, but look who's flying up the inside there. Stevie Dubb's got pace to spare at the moment. He's coming through thick and fast in the DPR car, and he could be very much spoiling their run here, because he's coming up nice and quick and he's getting himself into some nice positions. And, well, Stevie Dubb is absolutely one of the harder racers out there. He'll keep it very fair, but he will not give you an inch.
No, definitely not. Had some great races with Steve, and he's one person that you can always guarantee that he'll race you clean and hard. He'll head a shy right under the tail wing now of Phelps.
Yeah, Hedderscheid's got some really good pace at this stage. Car is switching on in the long run, and this is something else we've seen is sometimes they have that short run pace and it goes very well, but the long run is where they really make their efforts, and at the moment it looks like the Ataris have got some great long run pace as they are flying through the field. And Daniel Hedderscheid making it up into P4 now. Ruben Phelps dropping like a stone at the moment, unfortunately. Looks like he may have used up a little bit too much life in that tyre, and he is really struggling for speed at this stage of the race.
Yeah, we've seen Ruben there running that low line, so a little bit and quite a bit more than the other guys around him. So maybe the best of those tyres have gone.
Yeah, he could be very much hanging out for a caution now, just hoping for a late caution to get that fresh set of boots on to go back to some short run pace and get some speed back in the car. Drivers that haven't been struggling too much with long or short run, they've been fine for both of them, is Pearson and Jones. They have got some really good speed at the moment up the front, leading away. Neil Pearson's got a 2.5 second lead over Ryan Jones, 4.5 second lead over Dave Douglas in third. Neil Pearson is sitting very pretty at the moment in that red DPR car.
Biggest mover. Sorry, I was just going to say the biggest mover tonight is the 45 green machine of Gary Wellman. Started in 20th and now up to 8th.
Yeah, having a good run, Gary, and one of those drivers that is absolutely having a fantastic year, as we've seen over on Australasian Supercars. He has been on fire in that series, but he has been really having some good runs in ANZCAR as well. In the truck and the Xfinity car, he's been right up the front of the field many of the races, and in the Cup, he has been finding himself inside the top 10 constantly.
Yeah, he doesn't often drive these, but as you said, he's come out this year and he's done quite a few races with ANZCAR, and he's definitely proven his worth in the Cup car. And like you said, Carl, an absolute blister of a season over it, and in the V8s. We've got Pearson closing in on to 11th place at the moment, and there's a battle there between excuse me, between Matty Ray, Urquio, and the 093. Lost his name for a minute.
Riley Curtis.
That's it, Curtis.
Yeah, this is the thing when you're leading this kind of race, is you're coming up on traffic constantly, and Norman Clark up there as well, battling it out. They're all trying their best to fight for positions and trying to keep in a spot where they can try and jump up a position, try and try and slot yourself into a better finishing position if a caution comes out, or try and keep yourself in a good position for a green run as well. But the racing is so furious here tonight to see Riley Curtis and Lockie are really battling hard for 10th position at the moment, and that's not going to help Neil Pearson get through this traffic.
No, and that's the other thing that the guys don't always realise, and that's because they're concentrating so hard on their own battle. They don't realise that the leaders are coming up on them, but they do have the right to continue the race for themselves. So sometimes we see incidents there, and it's no one's real fault. They're just so intense on battling in their own battle for their position.
Yeah, that is it. Look, it's always the car that's trying to pass you's obligation to pass you. It's not your obligation to let them pass, and that's the thing in motor racing is even if you are a lap down, it's still that car that's trying to lap you's obligation to try and pass you. It's not yours just to let them pass. So, the racing is always hard throughout the field. But you'll generally find people, once they sort of go down to the leader, they'll generally be a little bit easier to pass, or if they're multiple laps down, they'll be a little bit easier to pass. But once you get in a position where you're racing for those positions, it all goes out the window, and all of a sudden the racing goes back to full-on aggression levels.
Again, we're seeing a great night for SRM with 3 cars in the top 10. DPR have got their 3 cars that are on the lead lap in the top 10. So some great results.
Yeah, the team's having a good run out there tonight.
Sorry, that frog come back and jumped out just when I didn't want it to. Yeah, some great team results. And these guys will go away and have a chat and say, where can we fix this for next season when they come back here. But again, we're seeing Lachlan trying to battle for to stay on that lead lap, but unfortunately he hasn't been able to do that, and now he's a lap down. So that's everyone up now to 9th place that is a lap down. Sorry, on only on the lead lap.
Yeah, and a little bit further up the track, Joshua Carroll and Gary Wellman having a good battle for 8th position, 7th and 8th at the moment, and they are racing very hard with each other. Saw them really side by side for a fair few laps and very much going hard with each other, and that's allowing Matty Ray to close the gap as well. As you see, Neil Pearson closing the gap on them to put them a lap down. So this race is really on for some of these drivers as Gary Wellman looks to go down the inside in the 45 Simboy entry, and he's going to try to get that inside line working. It's really not that easy tonight to get it there as JCW almost gets up into the wall. He's going to get much better drive off the corner and keep that position once again, but these guys are racing incredibly hard with each other, and Matty Ray's just thinking, all right, boys, I'll see what I can do here. I'll get involved in this. This looks like fun. But now the leader's coming up to them, and that's going to be a hard one to pass because this little group of cars are racing really hard with each other on different lines. Neil Pearson has to absolutely time it to perfection to get his way through because he is losing a little bit of time behind him to Ryan Jones as he gets caught up in this battle.
Yeah, and again, we always see Carol Warren just get up a little bit high and allowed Matty Ray to get under him. So now Pearson is going to follow Ray through, and that's the job done on those cars. Now Pearson's out after Matty Ray, and Matty Ray has definitely pulled a gap now that he's got past JCW.
Yeah, Matty Ray looks to have some good pace at the moment, and that could be useful. He's got a bit of a gap to make up to Ruben Phelps, about 1.5 seconds. So he's got a fair bit to do, but he could see if it happens. Lachlan Urquhart coming back on Gary Wellman and JCW now as well. So looks like the SRM cars there, the 42 and the 83, they set their car up to be really good at the end of this race, and it's paying off for them now as they've got that little bit more pace over some of the other drivers.
I'm just wondering if they are in that stop before the last one. They went the wrong way with the setup, and they've rectified it for this run, because they had definitely got some pace in those cars. Unfortunately, it's late in the race, only 20 laps to go, and they're not going to be able to do a lot apart from fight the guys around them.
Yeah, it's going to be a matter of just having a little bit of fun out there, and well, look, getting ahead of a rival is always a good sign as well. So they're sort of going quite well at the moment, and getting a couple of extra positions in this race is never a bad thing.
The other playoff person we haven't spoken about for a while is Joy Phelps. Joy is actually sitting down in 14th position. Been able to keep that car, that Toyota, relatively clean tonight. So just consolidating and making sure he can get through to that next step.
Yeah, I wonder if Jai's just struggling a little bit on this track, because he didn't quite have pace last night either, and just wonder if this has just caught him out a little bit with Bristol. Probably might not be a favoured track, and it's just sort of showing a little bit. It's not usual pace here tonight, just struggling a little bit for that real fast running pace, and having a solid run, but not sort of not inside the top 10 tonight. JCW and Gary Wellman get back to the battling as Ryan Jones is trying to make his way through now, and this is the problem with lap cars is you make time on the car in front of you, but then all of a sudden find yourself trying to lap them again, and the car behind loses time as JCW clips the wall a little bit. That's going to cost him a bit of time. Ryan Jones thinks about going down the inside of Wellman, going 3 wide, thinks better of it. I think that's a wise decision, and just gets up there as JCW again just gives the wall a little bit of a tap. Down the front straight they go. As Jones is going to take that inside line and get through on Gary Wellman. Wellman does a really nice line through that corner, so he can give Jonesy the corner, but also defend against Carol Walden, who's having a ding-dong battle with Wellman at the moment. Those two absolutely on it with each other, and this is the battle for 10th position at the moment, for 9th and 10th position at the moment. Some really fun racing going on out there.
Yeah, definitely is. Yeah, it's definitely going to come down, and look at that group of cars there going through that camera shot. That's an angry pack, and some lap cars, some leaders there.
Yeah, it's a big old battle pack there. Being headed by Andrew Dyson at the moment, Brenton Henderson, the 2 Cobalt racing cars of Sheridan and Bowen, and a lot of action going on there. Jai Schultz up there as well, I can see it's Ruben Phelps too. So lots of different cars in lots of different positions on track, but all racing with each other.
Yeah, definitely. It's a shame for Bowen and Sheridan. Not been a good night for him. Bowen now 6 laps down, and I've just lost.
Sheridan's 8 laps down.
8 laps. Yeah. Sorry, I just lost him for a minute.
Yeah, they got caught up in those early incidents, unfortunately, and It's not been an easy night for them, but they've done a good job of getting back out there and at least getting themselves out on track. They're up in the top 20, currently 15th and 16th position. Just looking at Andrew Dyson, he's currently in 18th position. So he's still running out there, but not much to play for at the moment. 4 laps to go, and Neil Pearson's got a nice healthy lead at the moment over Ryan Jones. Dave Douglas in third, Daniel Heddershide fourth, and Stevie Dubb in fifth. And it's starting to settle down a tiny bit out there, but you say that, and then you look back to Daniel Heddershide, who has Stevie Dubb and Matty Ray all over the back of him. I think that's going to be the battle to watch for this run to the flag, as Matty Ray thinks, I'm going to go for this. I'm going to see if I can get myself a top 5, maybe even a top 4 here tonight, as he goes down the inside of Stevie Dubb, goes down the inside of Daniel Heddershide. Stevie Dubb thinking about making the move as well, and they are racing hard for these final couple of laps.
Daniel Heddershide definitely doesn't want to give it up, but he's just got pushed up the track a little bit there. So that's now given Matty Ray into 5th place.
Well, up to 4th, actually. So,
4th.
He got past both Stevie Dubb and Heddershide in that one. Had a really good run as the white flag is flown. And Neil Pearson is going to come around to take the checkered flag and take victory number 2 in the playoffs. Neil Pearson is on fine form. Ryan Jones comes home in 2nd place, his traditional spot, back into P2. Dave Douglas comes home 3rd. He's going to be pretty chuffed with that one. Matty Ray 4th after a fantastic final run to the race. Daniel Heddershide comes home at 5th with Stevie Dubb in 6th. Ruben Phelps in 7th. 8th for Lachlan Oakway. Gary Wellman in 9th. And JCW rounding out the top 10.
Another great race, Carl, right throughout the field.
Yeah, some great racing out there tonight, and at Bristol. Bristol Dirt is a fun novelty, but I love the place with the concrete back, with the asphalt down. It makes for an exciting race, and it's delivered once again. Neil Pearson is going to be so chuffed with that. It's been a fantastic couple of weeks for that man. So let's run through the finishing order once again. It's Neil Pearson for DPR taking a 1-2 with Ryan Jones in 2nd. Dave Douglas comes home in 3rd position with Matty Ray in 4th for SRM. Daniel Heddershide in 5th for Natari. Stevie Dubb 6th with DPR. Ruben Phelps for SRM coming home with Lachlan Oakway 7th and 8th. Gary Wellman, the sim boy out there, lone sim boy in 9th. And JCW for Natari in 10th. Riley Curtis comes home in 11th tonight ahead of Norman Clark. Jai Schultz 13th, 14th for Brenton Henderson. Shane Bowen 15th, 16th for Sheridan. Jordan in 17th. Dyson 18th position. Tomlin, Noddy Tompkins, Luke Crum and Christopher Ireland round out our field here tonight, Mark.
Yeah, great field. Some definitely movers on the playoff standings. And unfortunately, it definitely looks like we're going to lose Heddershide and JCW out of the playoff contention.
Yeah, big losses to go there as we move into the next stage of the playoffs. And I might hang it over to you tonight, Mark, for the interviews, if that's all right. As Mark goes very quiet there, so maybe not. Mark runs away very, very quickly to that one. So let's wait for the drivers to start appearing in the room. Give them a couple of moments to take a bit of a breath, to have a bit of a drink after that long, hard race here at Bristol. And we will get underway in a few short moments with our 3rd place finisher for the casting couch. It is the number 10 of Mr. Dave Douglas. Dave, welcome back to the booth, mate, and congratulations on P3 here at Bristol.
Yeah, young boys, what's going on?
Well, it's always a pleasure to have you in the booth, mate. As you know, we love having you up here, and we wish you could see you every week. And it's always nice seeing you in the playoffs, especially when you're racing in them. Getting home in 3rd position, that must be a nice feeling for you.
Yeah, that's it, mate. What did we finish? What did I finish at Darlington? Third, I think, as well. I think so. A P3 and a absolute blip on the radar at Kansas. What a rubbish track that is, and absolute shocker there. Anyway, so nice recovery this week, and P3 I like Bristol, and yeah, somehow put it on the pole, and that's my weak point is I can't qualify. That's why half the problem is driving back through the field. But yeah, tonight I think usually I try too hard. I just went out and just went whatever, and I didn't think it was fast enough. And I looked at the times; it was pretty good. So
Well, you weren't trying too hard. You were in your zen place, and it worked out for you tonight, taking that pole position. That's obviously gave you some good hopes for the race. But trying to beat DPR at the moment is very hard to do indeed.
yeah, they're definitely good. Like I mean, when they don't step on their own dick, you can beat them. You know, like they're almost unbeatable. But yeah, Dice obviously had some issues tonight. So I saw him out early, which must have been the first caution. Jonesy, always good racing. Jonesy, he's gives you enough space. Me and him have got pretty good respect between our race. We race hard, but give enough space. And Pearson, I took him on for all the first 2 laps, and I wasn't really interested in racing too hard at the start. But once he got hold of it, and he never let it go. So no, well done to him.
Well, it looked like you had some really good pace towards the end of the stint. Were you sort of
Yeah.
saving a bit at the beginning, or was it just not
No,
working for you?
I just don't know, man. Like I was strange. Like they just rolled me on the starts, and I don't think I was willing to push it as hard as they were. Like I saw Ruben, like man, he was sliding off the bottom of the track a few times on the exits, and if you're doing that, you're pushing pretty hard. So I just wasn't willing to push that hard, and I knew like the tire life's pretty good here, and I've won races from just easing them into the race. So and it worked in that first stint. I was coming back at them, and then the yellow came out, and then I guess I had to fight back at the end there just because I lost too many spots off the restart, and so I was dreading a caution because if it come out, I was nowhere. So I just don't know if I could have ran as hard as they did.
No, that's it. We sort of saw that sort of early run pace was a bit tricky, but absolutely on the long run, you had it nailed tonight. It sort of it was a bit of a tricky track. It looked like for getting down low for passing. Some people were really struggling trying to get down low.
Yeah, for whatever reason, I prefer the low line here. I never didn't really run high at all. I ran the mid to low all night, pretty much, unless I made a mistake and ended up in the highest part of the track. But for whatever reason, I've always enjoyed the low side here. So when the low side is there, that's when I can make some speed. Like I don't know, the top side it's not as fun. At least you can use a few different grooves here. So yeah, I saw a lot of guys up top, like JCW. He was top. I was mid to bottom, so that's where I felt it worked best for me.
Well, it worked out very well indeed. P3 here tonight. Look, congratulations, mate, and well done for making it through to the next round of the playoffs too. We can say that without too much to worry about there. So we will see you next time out. Congratulations, mate. How are you feeling going into the next round?
Yeah, well, I think my bogey tracks for Darlington and Kansas. So once I got them out the road, I think the rest of it's not too bad. So we got Texas. Oh, yeah, go okay. I'm pretty fair there. Like I reckon I'm definitely top 5 Texas. Talladega. Anything can happen, but I obviously love the old speedways, but it's going to be a tough race. And then Roval, absolutely hate it actually. So I might get knocked over there. I might just not even show up.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, Dave, Carl and I will come out and run blockers for you at Talladega, mate.
Oh, absolutely. Let's have it, boys. I'll slip you a red back, mate. Don't worry about
that. Unfortunately, we didn't compete in the regular season, so we can't. Sorry, Dave.
Oh, you can still block though. You can definitely block. you don't need to be a player to block, mate.
Congratulations, Dave. Before I let you go, the usual thing: the love for shout out sponsors, people in general. Go for it, mate. You've earned it.
Just shout out to you guys putting on the broadcasts every week. It's a tough gig, long season, so respect to you guys seeing it out. It's as I said, long season. ANZCAR, all the admin guys, long-winded and multiple series. So massive shout out to those guys doing a top job. We're winding down a little bit, but and I guess shout out to Riley for always swapping me paints around whatever I need done. He's always there and willing to give it a crack. So yeah, I think that's it. Oh, and apologies to Norman because the only blip on my radar tonight was going up the inside of Norman Clark, and it felt like I gave enough room. I just watched the replay there. There's about a whole freaking car width of net lag or whatever. But yeah, I'm apologies to Norman because I thought I got into him. I got times 4 off it. I was like, what the heck just happened? But yeah, sorry to him if I did ruin his race a bit.
That was one thing I was meant to mention to you, but I completely forgot about it. It was a very, very weird netcodey thing because there was half a car length between the two of you, so it was not.
Yeah, shame.
Very much didn't look like a driving error. It was just a unfortunate server error, I think.
Yeah, so apologies though, no, mate, and yeah, that's it for now, man.
All right, Dave. Look, have a great night, and we'll see you back at Texas, where everything is bigger, even yourself.
Yeah, boys. Yeah.
Dave Douglas there, the number 10, the casting couch. Always a pleasure to have him up in the booth. Next up, it's going to be the perennial second place man. It's always the bridesmaid. It's Mr. Ryan Jones. P2 here tonight at Bristol. Congratulations, Ryan. A really good run from yourself. Well, as I say, P2 again, but you must be pretty chuffed with this one.
Yeah, pretty happy with that. It was all the setup really from Neil. I just had to drive the car after that. It was pretty fast, but felt good all race.
Absolutely, it looks like a rocket ship out there for the short run and the long run pace. It didn't look like it had a fault in it.
No, yeah, it felt good. I think I had better short run pace and long run pace, but it was just I could have stayed with Neil a couple of those runs, and then the last run I thought I'm not going to be able to pass him if I just keep sitting behind him. So I worked the tires a little bit harder, tried to find a way by, couldn't do it, and then had a bit of extra tire wear at the end, but still pretty comfortable ahead of the rest of the field.
Absolutely, there was a little brief moment where it looked like he had an opportunity on Mr. Pearson.
Yeah, had a dip. Obviously I was pretty wary of not trying to run into him, so I left a lot of leeway there and was too low, and the car got loose, and I was like, I can't do it. Sucked back in behind him.
The odd wary moment there, right? It's being nice to a teammate. I don't know if I can deal with that.
Yeah, I'm still getting used to that. I don't know how I feel about taking it easy. I'm not taking it easy against him. Like I was hustling him pretty hard at the start of that last run, but it's a hard place to get an overtake done, which a lot of the lapped cars decided to show me and not Neil tonight. Neil got a pretty good run through the lapped cars from what I could see. Every time I caught them, they were side by side, 3 wide, in the fence. It's unbelievable.
No, we did notice that a little bit. I mean, it looks like a really tricky track to sort of try and run low on tonight. It just didn't look easy to get past the cars down there.
Yeah, it's just loose. And if you're on the low line and you get loose, you can't save it. It's just all about trying to stop the car from us. Because if you get loose and have a slide, then you overheat the tires and then you screw your whole run up. So you just can't really afford to do it. So if you wanted to pass, you had to do a bit of a slide job, which I did a little bit of at the very start after that first pit stop on lap 10. I had to pass a few cars the fun way. But then just settled in for the rest of the race, really.
Absolutely. Look, it was, you gave us some fun entertainment out there. We got to see some of those nice little passes earlier on, and always a nice thing to watch. I'm still getting used to in a yellow DPR car. It just doesn't feel right somehow.
Yeah, well, if you change my team on the broadcast, that'll probably help.
One day we'll get to that.
A bit more real. Yeah.
Look, congratulations tonight, Ryan. The usual thing of love and shout outs to personal we'll go for, because we'll make Mr. Pearson do the hard work of the team sponsors.
Yeah, Neil wins the race. His punishment is to do the sponsor shout out. So yeah, big shout out you guys putting on a good show. Always fun to go back and watch, and interesting to hear your takes on how the race is playing out. And Mum, of course, watching on as always. And yeah, big up Neil. I don't think I could have beaten him tonight, even if I drove it perfectly. Stevie Dub, good race as well. And Daiso was horrifically unlucky, unfortunately.
All his bad luck came at once for a change. It doesn't happen very often, does it?
No. I'm sure he'll come out and smack the field next week.
Congratulations, Ryan. Have a great night, and I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth in no time.
Cheers, boys.
Ryan Jones out for DPR. Next up, it is the winner for tonight's race, the 62, the newlywed himself. It's Neil Pearson. Neil, welcome to the booth, mate. Congratulations on, well, 2 accounts for winning a race and also the marriage.
Thank you very much.
A busy couple of weeks for yourself. I mean, getting victories here and there. You know, it's been a very strong couple of races, and life's going well at the moment, it seems.
It is. You know, getting married is just the icing on the cake, and getting these wins is really good. You know, and I reckon I would have won Darlington too if that stuff didn't go down. But so, you know, 3 in the trot, potentially 3 on the trot is pretty good.
Absolutely. You have been on top form recently, and tonight, well, you showed it. Absolute dominance out there. It looked not the easiest car to drive, but you looked to have amazing pace, not in the short run, just the long run and the short run.
Yeah, I'm on holidays at the moment, so I've actually been doing some of the 8 open races, and today I found a really good line just through the middle there. And the car just hangs on, you know, like it seemed like if you're on the bottom, if you're on the top, it just fries the tires. But if you're in the middle, the setup just hangs on. And once I got my adjustments done and loosened the car up quite a bit, it was just brilliant to drive.
Absolutely. Well, we saw the early caution. You decided to stick it out a little bit, and you still had some good pace then as well.
Well, I actually kind of forgot about the setup adjustment, and I was just thinking about, all right, I don't want to waste a set of tires this early. But then, yeah, so I knew those other guys would be coming back at me later on in the run, so I tried to like check out a little bit and then save later on in the run. And they were coming back at me, but the caution came out when they were about a second and a half or so off. But so it worked out there.
Absolutely, and those cautions sort of came out at a fairly decent time as well, just in that point where tyres were starting to drop off, and the last caution as well. Obviously, they played into your hands a little bit, but the restarts you had tonight were absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah. It's really good to get a jump when you're controlling the field and you just mat the throttle and away you go. So everyone else is pretty much just waiting for you to go. So it's good. It's pretty much a good race. I was able to control it and I had a lot of fun. I love this place. It's one of my favorite tracks. So it's finally good to actually get a win here, because I think every other time I've come here in ANZCAR, I've been something's happened on track and I haven't been able to finish while I was leading. So I'm pretty happy.
It almost happened tonight. Almost.
It did.
Obviously, that was a close moment. We saw Kobe having a lot of issues getting the car around with the damage, but he sort of managed to keep the power on and sort of keep it straight as well. And that must have made your job of just holding on a little bit easier. But I imagine the heart rate would have risen a bit.
Yeah, it did. I was expecting him to be a little bit closer to the wall, so I came up a little bit more. But so I mean, it's a little bit on me too. So, but it's what it is. We came away with it unscathed, so no harm, no foul.
If you could walk away with it, then it's absolutely fine. You could laugh about it.
That's it.
Look, congratulations tonight, Neil. A fantastic job. Win number 2 in the playoffs as well. That's going to be that's a nice thing to have as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Congratulations again. Now, the hard work, the love, the shout outs to all the sponsors, people in general, go for it. You absolutely deserve it tonight.
First off, simrigs.com, Southwell Lifts and Hoists, Max Mechanical, NP Designs, my teammates for all the fun and the good hard racing. Ryan, he was pushing me a bit harder there at the start of that final run, so a bit too hard to my liking, but it worked out. You guys for the broadcast, ANZCAR for the series, and my new wonderful wife, Linda, for just putting up with me and actually deciding to marry me. So it's been pretty good.
Absolutely. Look, congratulations on every account, Neil. Wonderful week for you and great to see it. Coming to an end with an even nicer, a nice finish as well. Always great stuff. Hopefully we'll see you back in the booth in no time at all. Obviously, Texas next time up. How are you feeling going into that one?
I hate Texas. It's the worst.
Well, at least you got those wins in early.
That's it.
Have a great race. Look, I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth next week.
Hopefully, guys. You have a good night.
Thanks, Neil. Neil Pearson there for DPR taking the win. And as I said, fantastic week for himself. Mark, it's been a busy week, but look, he has absolutely come on top form in the playoffs.
Definitely has. And, you know, after that first race in the playoffs, we thought, oh no, it's a repeat of last year, but he's now got 2 wins under his belt and definitely into the next round of playoff.
Very much so. Look, a big thank you to everybody tonight, of course, everybody for watching. We always appreciate it here at Performance E-Streaming. We always love having you joining us, and we hope you'll join us in the future because we've got more racing coming up this weekend, of course. On Sunday night, we have the Australasian Supercar E-Series back in action. And well, we'll be racing at. I'm just waiting for my little thing to pop up or for Matt to shout at me. Las Vegas. Yeah, we go. I actually knew that one. I just completely forgot as I was talking. I should have known that one off the top of my head. So off to Las Vegas. Of course, the Weekend Warriors, Mark, are racing on Saturday night.
Yeah, at Chicagoland. And just stay away from those casinos on Sunday night. All right, Carl?
I will do my best to keep away from them. Knowing my luck, I would not do well anyway. Look, a big thank you to Mr. Mark Johansson and Matt Hunter, of course, doing all the hard work in the background. I'm as ever Carl Wilkinson with you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we will see you all back here next time out. Of course, next week at Texas for the ANZCAR Cup. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.